out there. But before we really get started, guys, there was some news that came up, like I said, I saw on the Geekly Goods. I saw it earlier on Instagram, but Geekly Goods YouTube channel, they talked about it as a rumor that Sony is saying that they will no longer allow, or they will never allow the MCU to use any of their villains from, their movies. Your Morbius, your upcoming Kraven, your villains from Madam Web. And at first I was thinking, who fucking cares? Those movies all flopped. Why would Kevin oh, you're really hurting Kevin Feige. Oh my God, what am I gonna do without Morbius? Oh, I just brought Blade back. I need that more. No, I don't care. That movie flopped. But then I was thinking, how effing disrespectful was that? Because I felt like the original deal when they decided to do this Sony Marvel MCU merger thing with the shared universe with Tom Holland. I know it's really mostly about Tom Holland being in the Avengers and whatnot, and the universes. Tom Holland is in the MCU technically, but all these other movies are in it anyway. But to make these movies successful and then it reached $1 billion, you had people like Happy Hogan, you had Robert Downey Jr. in Homecoming, you had Doctor Strange in the latest one. You've had key Marvel characters acting like mentors to help bring Peter up. Maybe they're no longer going to do this in the future. I hope they do. I'm hoping that Daredevil. We saw Daredevil in the. I'm hoping that as now that he's becoming a street level, like maybe he's starting from scratch and becoming more of a street level character. Another crossover with Daredevil might make sense in the future. So I'm like, okay, if you're going to act like that, then maybe we don't need to allow our MCU characters in your movies. But let me get just before I ramble on. What are your Robert? What do you think about this rumor about Sony not allowing MCU to use their?
I think in the original negotiations that they had, there was I imagine it got pretty granular. So there was probably a lot of discussions of, okay, which character are off the books for now, and which are on the table for negotiation, and then some to be discussed later. I think them saying that it's truly blocking the characters is probably an exaggeration. Because,
Venom, that means Venom will never be in the MCU.
Yeah, I mean, never say never. Dollar signs,
right?
Dollar signs talk a whole lot. So it's all. I'm sure it's all about negotiating for this intellectual property, so that they build a value to it, and also they need to hold on to certain intellectual property to keep alive. Right? Yeah. They need some of this content. They need this money coming in. Mm-hmm. So if they release a lot of this content to Marvel. What are they going to have left? What do they have left in the stable to sell?
I mean, that was the main reason why they had to make Sony never wanted to do this merger agreement deal. Originally, the executive of Sony threw her according to the rumors, threw her food in Kevin Feige's face when he originally suggested it. Then the Sony leaks happened, and it's like, hey, what was that merger you were talking about again? You still want to do that? And luckily, Kevin Feige was, grown up enough to be like, yeah, let's not worry about the fact that you threw food in my face when I originally pitched this idea. Yeah, let's work together, and it's been successful for both sides. I mean, the last movie made almost $2 billion, which is both sides made a lot of money. But this whole, you can't use our characters, even though we're gonna make sure in the deal that we get to use an MCU character every now and then in our movies. I don't like that. But at the same time, I know Kevin Feige does not give a. Oh my God, am I not gonna get to use the bad guy from Madam Web? Oh, narts. I don't think Kevin Feige cares. But at the same time, you're probably right. It's probably a loophole thing. Because think about it. The rumor says specifically you're not allowed to use any of our villains. I don't know if it's characters or if it was just villains. Because then that means Venom technically would be on the table still because he's not really a villain. He's the hero of his movies. He's an anti-hero. Maybe it's only strictly to the villains. Maybe it's
could be Sinister Six.
Exactly, which could still lead to Sinister Six. But if it's specifically villains, though, if it's like you cannot use any of our villains in the MCU, then that means, what does that mean? That means Michael Keaton's character, Vulture, could never, ever pop up in, Secret Wars or anything like that. I don't know. Am I getting too upset? What do you think, baby? Do you I don't know. This is probably not up your alley, but do you care about any of that? Does that make any difference? Do you think it's going to make or break Marvel?
No. I mean, it's just one of those things. Like I could see it sounding more like a big deal if Sony was putting out the high quality,
making $2 billion a flick,
and you'd be like, ouch.
Yeah.
But considering that there's not been any hits.
Oh no, we're not going to get to use Madam Web in Secret Wars. Oh no, how are we ever going to make ends meet? That's how I feel about it. Am I being too harsh on it?
I mean, and like Robert said, I'm sure if there is something that Marvel really wants,
money
flash enough
talks.
dollar signs, then they'll be like, all right, yeah. Well,
Did you see our Deadpool movie? It made $1 billion, and let's not forget the fact. Ever since Marvel took over Deadpool, that was the first time Deadpool made $1 billion. The machine works. Ever since Marvel made that merger with Sony to share Spider-Man for the first time made $1 billion. Even though Spider-Man 2 is pretty much considered the best Spider-Man movie of all time, they never made $1 billion back then. They joined with Marvel. This is the formula. They made almost $2 billion. So it's like, why? I like I said, like Joy said, I would understand this if these spinoffs were all making like crazy amounts of money, but Morbius flopped. Craven might flop. Madam Web is a laughable meme now, so it's like, you protest too much.
Well, we also don't know what direction. Like, what are they planning for their 5-year, for their 10-year? That's where something like a Sinister Six character building wouldn't be a single film.
Yeah.
It would be a group of villains specifically that could be why they're trying to restrict.
Maybe you're right. You know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe that's why they if they specifically said villains, because we want to get this Sinister Six thing right. We almost were about to do it with the Andrew Garfield movie. We were on the path. It fell off. We want to get it right. Okay. All right. If you got a plan, you got a plan. But I'm just sure that Kevin Feige was like, I didn't even ask. What the hell are you bringing this shit up for? I didn't ask. Oh, go make your movies. Leave me alone. I got a whole will I use Kang or will I not use Kang thing I got to deal with. I got my own fires to put out. That's what Kevin Feige needs to be focused on for Secret Wars. Anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think about this whole rumor, and let's get on track with the first one of the first official topics of the night.